again, we are going to see the rise of false prophets.
This is actually one of my favorite topics, but it's a little scary to see some of the predictions I made materialize in real time because it's very dangerous. Basically, that video was the conclusion of my entire series that I did on Hillsong Church and how it's essentially a mega church that is really just like a money laundering business and preys on the faith and vulnerability of people that do believe in God for their money. And we saw that with Carl Lenz, who was Justin Bieber's pastor, who essentially like kind of rose to fame because of Justin and was supposed to be leading him in his faith, only to get really caught up in money and drugs and cheating, having like a complete ego failure. It led me to say that there was a lot of people in the faith-based industry that are far less concerned with God and walking in the path of God, and rather just boosting their own ego by seeming like a false prophet that other people look up to and invest in for their own high. It was last March when Saturn entered Pisces, and we are in familiar territory where these themes are really going to get exasperated. We're dealing with this energy until 2026, baby, so it's here to stay. The reason I think that this is important to talk about now is because we're seeing a rise in all of your favorite influencers and all of your favorite celebrities suddenly believing in God. Is this a problem? No. And doesn't mean that anybody that suddenly starts walking in their faith is lying? No. But it's always interesting to watch the timing and the convenience of it all. I actually wanted to make this video for quite some time now because I've been talking about this for like 2 years, but the other night I had a dream that somebody that I know that has an abusive past like kind of went into private mode and then popped out as a mega church pastor. So I was like, okay, maybe this is relevant. And then I woke up and saw that Shia LaBeouf literally just a few days ago converted to Catholicism. Here's him at the church. He wants to be a deacon. He wants a high position. He has a history of being relentlessly abusive to his ex-girlfriend Twigs. There's a lot of abuse allegations about him. He fucked up, and in the eyes of God, you are forgiven for your sins. This leads me to my point that you're going to start seeing a lot of people that have issues with power and control dynamics and an abusive history start turning to God and to faith in order to redeem their image. I tweeted the other day that there is a very heavy emphasis on the abuser to evangelical Christian pipeline. If you've ever dated an abuser, you know that typically when the jig is up and you know that something is legitimately wrong with them, they really start emphasizing like God and religion and redeeming themselves and sinning and mistakes and the devil's trying to get to them. It's something that a lot of women deal with in their personal lives. I think we're going to start seeing that same dynamic play out, but now on a more public mass level. Kat Von D actually recently got baptized at the end of 2023. Blac Chyna also found God within the recent years, and that's also to make the point that, again, not everybody that converts or that finds God is lying. I think in her case it does seem genuine. However, again, you always want to ask yourself, okay, well, why now? Even though Nas X is heavily pushing this, what seems like very last minute 3-day promo of exposing the industry, how he supposedly wants to make gospel music, but his label didn't want him to or something. Usually when we talk about exposing the industry, it has something to do along the lines of like sexual assault victims, sex trafficking victims, people that are getting heavily exploited and actually like losing their lives to people in powerful positions. He's talking about getting blackballed from the industry and how he actually has found God again, which, listen, if he has, that's amazing. But after years of using religious rage as low-hanging fruit and bait to kind of promote your very mid music, again, it's boring, it's predictable, it's played out. It's the same thing with Doja Cat calling herself the devil and painting herself red and then being like, why does everyone think I'm being demonic? I don't understand how you can like come into this industry and make so much money, have so many resources, so many connections, and like this is what you come up with. I'm willing to look stupid if somehow Lil Nas X is like our hero that's fighting for the justice and peace of all, but I think that there's a way to do it, to take advantage of your platform and actually give people voices that don't have one of their own, rather than I'm gonna expose people in the industry, but you have to stream my song and it's gonna be out in 3 days and I have to get paid for it. This is why I hate celebrities. They're out of touch and they have worms for brains. Anyways, back to my point. The thing is that people that are very faith oriented, when somebody that does have like an awful past comes into the public eye and says, I found God, it's very hard for those faithful people to not completely fall for it because they believe in redemption. They believe in having this like healing arc, which is great, but not at the expense of when somebody is literally like creating and casting a fantasy in order to get what they want, and that's not what the truth is. It's more of a foolproof agenda. Even if you don't believe in God, there's something about when somebody says, I'm walking on the path with God now, that seems very honorable because it makes us think about this person like, oh, they're healing, like they're trying to be better. It kind of gives us a self-improvement idea. So I said that the faithful people of the church may forgive you for your sins and satiate your craving for ego, praise, and power, but God will know your true intent of converting to organized religion for evil, greedy purposes. Powerless people position themselves in communities that have a pulse of faith because they siphon on that energy. That's why it's not a coincidence that a lot of political ideologies from the far right are heavily, solely reliant on religious beliefs. Do you know how easy it is to essentially see the success of a political party that you're a part of by incorporating religion, and then anytime somebody doesn't agree with you, you get to just say, oh, it's the devil at work? I don't know if I just deleted that clip, but basically what I'm saying is I think that this is part of the reason why we actually don't need to be paying attention to the Epstein list. We know what these celebrities do, we know what these politicians are guilty of. By bringing our attention back to Epstein, which is heavily aligned with people that are a part of the far right because they're a part of QAnon, it kind of gets us into that thinking hole of delusional, like post-COVID brain, when two things can exist at once. We can know that these evil things have happened without thinking that the solution is actually Trump, who is the second coming of Jesus to save us. Trump was on the list, baby, and I don't want to hear it. And that brings me to my next point. Like I said in the video that I stitched, that so many of you have slipped down the slippery slope of not realizing that you're going right down into the alt-right pipeline. A lot of this particularly pertains to people that are watching a lot of femininity content, a lot of stay-at-home girlfriend content, a lot of traditional conservative values content, not realizing that they're aligning with those political beliefs, those religious beliefs, those ideologies that are essentially making you think, oh, this is soft life content, but is actually aligning you like with a complete political party and ushering you and encouraging you to believe in God for the wrong reasons. I said we're going to see an uptick in patriotism in America, genuinely confusing all of the isms for pride in our country. Real ones know that I actually tweeted and said that I think that Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's relationship really plays into a lot of this, but that a lot of us will not notice that our favorite celebrities, companies, and streamers are playing a major role in this. Like I said, there's not a coincidence in who is doing this, when, and why. That there's nuance to everything, but the extreme ends of the spectrum with being very far right or very far left is essentially what's leading to the downfall of society. Society collapses and falls in on itself because we get mad at each other. We forget who to actually be mad at when the shared common denominator is our government that we all rely on, but things like religion convince us to believe, oh, it's us against them. And you're going to start to see a lot of people that are seeking power sort of rise to these religious positions in order to earn your faith, your belief in them, not the religion. And if it is wholeheartedly in the religious ideologies, it's to align you politically. It's election year, baby. So anything goes, and you need to think critically. It's okay to, continuously have your faith, but you need to remember to trust your own judgment. If something or someone seems a little fishy or not what it seems, you should trust your gut on that. Like things like this, I get the joke, trust me, I understand the joke. Do you see how we're so close yet so far away from the point? Somebody with this large of a platform can do something about it, but instead it's pay attention to me, put more money in my pockets, and all this is a joke because it's not really going to affect me, but it is going to affect you guys. I'm low-key wondering if there's going to be like a referral situation where celebrities or influencers that are able to bring in a lot of newcomers based off of their influence to a church or something get like a cut of the donations that are required in order to participate in that church. For example, like at Hillsong and needing to donate 10% of your earnings in order to even be a part of the mega church. Like Justin Bieber, for example, is somebody who really stands for Hillsong, or I should say Church Home now. I wonder if that's going to be the new scam that celebrities are trying to do to like get a paycheck. We know, again, like Carl Lenz, perfect example. This is all about God, all about values, all about like integrity, and he's wearing and decked out in Louis everything. This isn't to say that it's not happening on the spiritual front either. If you're not religious but you find yourself a part of spirituality TikTok a lot, this is still a big thing with the galactic whatever star seeds, this sort of supremacy that you're either a part of the good ones or you're not, and that by being enlightened or chosen by holiness or by God, everybody else is below you or they don't get it, and anytime somebody disagrees with you, again, they're wrong. Spiritual delusion, spiritual psychosis, the rise and fall of the ego and lies and deceptive illusions, fantasies, things that are not real. I always tell you guys, if there is somebody who has destroyed all their relationships, they screwed up so badly, there's something that they cannot come back from, and they are broke, they become a megachurch pastor or a youth pastor, and they will use that story to again siphon that energy. The way they'll kind of ring in faith and belief in themselves is by saying, I made all these mistakes, I hurt all these people, I did all these bad decisions, and look at me now. People will fall for it every time. Please do not be one of those people.